Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week 17, National Football League. This is one of those games. These two teams can't wait to get to the finish line. They don't have to wait much longer. Week 17, last game of the season. Washington Redskins at the New York Football Giants. NFC East family business. Whew! 3-12 Redskins, 6-9 Giants. No playoff implications whatsoever in this football game. Mike Shanahan probably coaching his last game as the Washington Redskins head coach. Tom Coughlin, his future uncertain, as it usually is in New York. And I don't know why. The guy wins Super Bowls every 4 years, yet he always is fighting for his job and having to tell people why he should still be the coach of the New York Giants. I don't understand why he's having to explain himself year after year after year, even though he's got 2 Super Bowl titles in the last 8 seasons. It just baffles me sometimes. But anyway, Redskins come into this game. No Robert Griffin III, as we all know, well documented. Kirk Cousins, your starter. And Eli Manning struggled this year monumentally with all the interceptions, 26 as a matter of fact, coming into this game. Look, someone had to win this game. So they had to play this game. Let's just break this thing down. Get out of here. 3-12 Redskins, 6-9 New York Giants. Brandon Merriweather forces a fumble early in this game. Is recovered by Josh Wilson. Leads to a Kai Forbath field goal. It's 3-0. Your guy, my guy, our guy, Kai Forbath, makes the field goal. It's 3-0. This was the big play in the game. If you're a Redskins fan like myself, this is the big play in the game that changed the whole complexion and the whole complexity of this game. D. Hall drops an easy pick. Eli Manning throws it to him, and this was a wet, nasty, cold day in New York. And it seems like the Redskins have been playing in games that are wet and nasty of late. And this game was no different. And that pick changed this game because Redskins have the momentum. They just got the field goal after they forced a turnover. Giants are a little bit stifled right now, haven't been able to do much offensively, and they've been struggling to kind of find their stride in this game. Redskins have all the momentum, again, just scoring the points. And Giants are pinned deep in their own territory. D. Hall has both hands on an easy short pick. I don't even want to blame the weather for this one. I just think he took his eyes off of this one because this was an easy pick. Wet ball, not wet. Rainy conditions, not wet. It doesn't matter. Okay? This is an easy pick for D. Hall. He drops it. And Jarrell Jernigan ends up catching a beautiful touchdown in the corner of the end zone from 22 yards out to put the Giants on top 7-3. So it's like the beauty and the beast. It's night and day of Eli Manning. You get both worlds on this possession right here. You get the worst and the best of Eli Manning all in the same possession. This is why Eli Manning is Eli Manning. Because on the same possession, you get an easy pick. And this could have been a pick six. I don't know how many defenders were around or not to stop him from getting in the end zone if he picks this one off. But the receiver had already fell on the play, so he wasn't going to stop him. There was space in front of D. Hall. There was opportunity for a big play to happen, and he dropped it. And about 5 or 6 plays later, Eli Manning throws a beautiful throw on a corner route or a seam route, whatever you want to call it, in the corner of the end zone. It's more like a seam route. He beat the defender inside. Safety help came over, dropped it in the bucket to Jarrell Jernigan, who is emerging as a star in New York. In a later portion of this season, he was the hero last week against Detroit in that overtime victory. He was the hero in this game. No Victor Cruz. This guy has stepped up monumentally in Victor Cruz's absence. And that was a beautiful throw by Eli Manning. You can't throw it much better than that. I mean, again, he couldn't have went up and handed it to him. He couldn't have breastfed him any better than that. So you go from an egregious throw that should have been picked off to a beautiful throw to Jarrell Jernigan. That's Eli Manning in a nutshell, especially in this season. The best of him, the worst of him. You get it all in the same possession. But Giants are up 7-3 after the touchdown grab by Jarrell Jernigan. Bad execution leads to great field position for the Giants as they get a field goal. It's now 10-3. This has been the story of the Redskins season all year long. Bad execution on special teams. It bit him in the rear again here on this possession. Perfect snap to Sav Rocca. He drops the football. He needs to be off the roster. I'm done with just about 60% of the special teams unit from this season. And he's one of the guys that has made this special teams unit unbearable in this season. And the ball hits him right in the hands. He drops it. Then he has to do a rugby-style kick, which he's not foreign to, him being an ex-rugby player. So it's nothing for him to pick it up and kick it off to the side, which he does a great job of. But guess what happens when you do that? Guys are down the field before they're supposed to be because they're expecting the ball to already have been kicked. You got guys down the field illegally downfield, and you get a penalty. Plus, the kick wasn't that great because you had to rush it because you're in the end zone and you don't want it to get blocked. So they catch it at midfield. They get a 5-yard return. You tack on 5 more yards for an ineligible player down the field. You get the football at the 40-yard line. Giants get another field goal. So it's 10-3. Bad execution on the part of a bad football team. That's 3-12. That's what you get. It's 10-3. Giants up. Josh Wilson gets an interception on a tip drill pick right before the half that allows my guy, your guy, our guy, Kai Forbath to nail a 49-yard field goal right before the half. It's 10-6. Giants are still up. Eli Manning gets injured right before the half on that possession where the pick is thrown. He literally throws the pick the next play after he gets injured. Ankle gets rolled up on. The next play he can't step into the throw, and it sails on him. It's picked off after being tipped up. Josh Wilson gets that pick. Redskins have done this annually. You talked about bad execution. Let's talk about bad time management now. And right before the half, this is something that the Redskins have struggled with throughout the whole Shanahan situation since he's been our coach. Throughout his whole tenure as our head coach, Redskins have executed poorly before the half and at the end of ball games with time management. They've struggled with it. They did it again here. Redskins have 2 timeouts, complete a nice pass over the middle of the field, and instead of using one of those 2 timeouts, they elect to run up, waste 20 seconds, and then try to complete a pass. Again, why? Call the timeout. Save yourself 20 seconds. You can't go into the half with the timeouts. They're of no use to you then. Redskins should have called the timeout. They didn't. They end up wasting timeouts, and they get a field goal. Is essentially what happens, which is what the Redskins do annually. It's 10-6 at the half. The Redskins come out in the second half. Alfred Morris fumbles the football, gives the G-men great field position, but a deflected pass in the end zone. And again, now your quarterback is Curtis Painter in New York as Eli Manning never comes back out of the locker room after halftime after he goes back there and is evaluated. The injury is too severe. It's week 17. You're 6-9. You're not going to the postseason. No need to put your franchise QB back out there for no reason. So they send Curtis Painter out there. His pass is deflected in the end zone and picked off by Reed Doughty. Redskins avoid giving up any points on that possession. It's still 10-6. Redskins' best drive of the game. And it's a shame that the Redskins' best drive of the game comes in the third quarter. You already have points on the scoreboard, but your best drive of the game comes in the third quarter, and it ends with a turnover. That's when you know you're a bad football team, when your best drive of the game ends in a turnover. Redskins drive the football all the way down deep into Giants territory before Justin Tuck forces a fumble of Kirk Cousins. And you saw this play later on in the day in the Bears game where a guy's hit. It looks like his arm is going forward. No one's sure. The Giants did a wonderful job of making sure they covered up this football. Okay? They didn't leave it to chance. They covered it up, and it ended up being a fumble. Giants take over with the football, and that was the Redskins' best drive of the game, by far. Kirk Cousins, and he probably has the most mispronounced name in the NFL, and it's a simple name. His name is Kirk Cousins, not Kurt Cousins, Kirk Cousins, and he's picked off by Tremaine McBride. Here was a game where both teams had ample opportunities to force turnovers, and because of the slick ball, the wet conditions, for whatever reason other than the conditions, turnovers weren't made. And guys dropped. I can still see Jaquan Williams dropping about his 5th pick of this game. I mean, he had his hands on a plethora of footballs. He just couldn't catch them. Tremaine McBride catches this one, though, picks it off. Giants get the game-clinching 49-yard touchdown run. Here's that man again, Jarrell Jernigan. on a reverse. Looked like he was going to be stopped for little to no gain. He darts in, he darts out. Redskins, bad tackling on the play, slips off of him, loses a couple of guys, gets down the sidelines. Touchdown, 17-6. That essentially was it in a nutshell. Giants tack on a late field goal, win this game 20-6. Great fitting ending to the season for the Redskins, who finish up the campaign at 3-13. Giants finish up the season at 7-9. Forget about this game. This game meant nothing. It was very uneventful. Let's talk about the Redskins situation and the Giants situation wrapping up this season here. Mike Shanahan is going to get fired. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It could come as early as Monday, could come later on in the week. I feel like his firing is going to happen on Monday. And so Redskins are in a situation now where they got to figure out some things. You don't have a first-round pick. That was relinquished in the Robert Griffin III trade. The number 2 overall selection will be going to the St. Louis Rams. So Redskins got to figure out some things about what they want to do. Got some free agents that they got coming up that they either got to re-sign or allow to walk. Brian Orakpo being the biggest of those names. You look at the coaching situation, got to find a new head coach because I don't think Mike Shanahan is going to be back. And I'll cover a lot of those things on Black Monday. I'm going to do a Black Monday episode as well, as the Redskins report will be coming back. So I'll be talking about Redskins issues. Let's talk about the Giants. A lot of free agents for the Giants. 3 of them most notable, however. Justin Tuck may have played his last game in New York. He ends the season with 2 sacks in this game, which gives him 11 on the season. I don't know if he'll be back in New York or not. He already said it'll be a tearful separation if he is not back. But I see him being back in New York some way, somehow. Depends on how much money he's looking for and if it's a reasonable price tag and if the Giants feel like it's one worth bringing him back for. You look at David Deal, longtime offensive lineman for the Giants. He's another guy that I don't know if he'll be back or not. We'll see. And, of course, you've got a huge free agent player. Didn't have the season you were expecting out of him. Of course, I'm talking about Hakeem Nicks. No touchdowns on the season. A lot of yards. Not as many as you would have liked. You know, a number of catches. He's been dealing with injuries like he always does. But, 60 grabs, over 800 yards, no touchdowns on the season. But he is definitely a number 1 receiver in this league. And so I think if you're the Giants, you got to try to bring this guy back again. All depends on the price tag. Dollars and cents is what it all boils down to. Does the dollars make sense for the Giants? Does Hakeem Nicks and his agent ask for too much money and you think that it's an unreasonable price tag and you allow him to walk away? He's going to test the free agent market. There's going to be some teams out there desperate enough to throw some money his way. Are you going to match? And is that price tag going to be too lofty for you? We'll see. But those are 3 of the number of free agents that the Giants have coming up. We'll see what happens with that. Of course, there's always the will he or won't he get fired Tom Coughlin story. To me, I think it's a dead issue. This guy just won another Super Bowl not too long ago. I don't think you need to be discussing whether he'll be fired or will he be retained. I think he needs to be back. If he wants to be back, I think he should be back in New York. I think he's already expressed his desire to want to coach again next season. I don't see why he shouldn't be the head coach of this football team moving forward. So that is this game in a nutshell. Giants go to 7-9 to finish out the season. Redskins drop to 3-13. Not really much more to say on this game or subject matter. We'll see what happens with the Redskins head coaching situation. If Shanahan is fired on Monday or if it happens Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever, it's going to happen. Not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so that's going to do it for this game in week number 17. I've got plenty more games to break down. Come back and join me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thank you for joining me. Come back and join me because I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 17, the season finale in the National Football League.